Joining us right now is Representative Andy Biggs of Arizona, who is also on the House Judiciary Committee. And I would think, sir, knowing the sensitivity of our FISA warrants and our FISA courts and the rights of American citizens, this may be of interest to you.
Well, yeah, Larry, good to be with you. Yeah, this is very interesting. And some of it, let's just be frank, is not overly surprising, is it? Because some of us have been seeing information. We knew some of this was out there. We just needed some hard evidence, and this is coming out. And what you're seeing is some people try to scramble to provide cover. Others are going deep. They're moling. They're going down underground. But the bottom line is this. You cannot dispute now that at the very highest levels of our government, the abuse of the FISA court, the abuse of the intelligence and FBI apparatus for political purposes was ongoing.
And meantime, it seems like the media and Democrats in office in your august body, the House of Representatives, don't seem real interested in having any hearings about this to find out more information. Boy, they were really hot on the trail of anything related to Russia at the beginning of this Congress, but now this doesn't interest them?
Right. No, exactly right. Well, first of all, they don't have any hearings on anything right now except for spending $3 trillion plus. But when you get to this, they were all in it trying to bring down President Trump. But now that we find out evidence after evidence that everything we said was true, there was no collusion, and these people knew there was no collusion, they had nothing going for them, and yet they still were trying to go after Flynn or anybody associated with the president to try to bring the presidency down.
Yeah.
Oh, we can't have that. We can't have a hearing on that.
Our guest is Representative Andy Biggs. By the way, not only a congressman from Arizona, but also the new chairman of the House Freedom Caucus. He assumed that role from Mark Meadows, who is now the chief of staff of the White House. Let's talk about this spending for a minute here, Congressman, because your speaker really has grand designs here on not my kids, but my grandkids' income.
Yeah, no, we're talking $3 trillion. We've already spent $3 to $3.5 trillion. We haven't even spent all that. But this, Larry, this isn't just about the spending. It's about the policy decisions she's made there, and you got to believe this is just a marker. She really doesn't want to spend $3+ trillion. She's probably content to spend $1.5 trillion. Which would then affect just our grandkids.
Right.
It's not our great grandkids yet, but that's really where we're looking. You're looking at just an amazing amount of structural deficit for this year. If this were to pass as is, you would be looking at $7+ trillion spending more than revenue this year, which would put you about $29 trillion for national debt. Imagine that.
What do you say, Congressman, though, to many Americans who believe this in their heart? And by the way, I tend to agree with them. They're saying, listen, I don't want your federal money. I don't want relief or bailout or whatever you want to call it. I just want to get back to work. But since you're not letting me, the least you can do is help feed my family.
Well, here's what I tell them. I say, number one, we will emasculate the economy by passing this bill. I mean, you will make things worse. And number two, it is your governors have locked you down. You've got, for all the what I could say bad about what I think about Dr. Fauci, there's not been mandates from the feds. What there's been is mandates from governors. And that's where you get governors saying, well, now you got to bail us out. I mean, like our Maryland governor just nearby.
Yeah.
He's basically shut everything down. And he says, hey, and guess what? We want the federal taxpayer and the generations to come to pay for my bad economic decision.
Well, and let me peel that back a little, because it's not just a bad economic decision based on this COVID-19 pandemic. You're talking about bad economic decisions that go back 20 years, predating Governor Hogan or Newsom for that matter. They created a fiscal house of cards in some of these states, and now the good people of Arizona, they're being asked to bail them out.
No, that's exactly right. And that's what I try to tell people. The government has no money. The people are the government. The taxpayers are the government in this instance. And so you're asking for the biggest wealth transfer in the history of humankind. That's what you're asking for, and we just can't do that. We can't acquiesce to it. I'm a big Steve Moore fan who says, "Hey, you just got to say one thing: not one more dime. You can't spend one more dime on this."
Are you confident that the president is going to hold that line? He does love making a deal, and you know they're going to say, "Oh, the president is starving children, and the president is doing that. It's an election year." And listen, politics often rules here instead of common sense.
Well, I'm always nervous about that, but the bottom line is we just can't go there, and I'm going to advocate for not going there, and that's my position. I'm going to shout it from the rooftops and write about it and talk about it, and the bottom line is the bottom line. There's nothing there.
Yeah.
And so it's all air, it's all gimmicks. And I tell you what, I did get a little heartburn today when Mr. Mnuchin, Secretary Mnuchin, said, "Well, yeah, we got plenty of facilities left to use to spend trillions more." What?
Yeah, we don't. And by the way, Wall Street had heartburn on that as well. And
yes.
But
yes,
it's disconcerting to say the least. So what's the way forward here if the president is going to hold the line? And it looks as though Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell is also not really interested in walking down this road either. The solution is to allow the American people get back to work and doing what they do best, which is generating great wealth, manufacturing, dealing in commerce, and then that would bring money back in, not only into their homes, but, oh, by the way, into the federal government's coffers.
Oh, absolutely right. You have the first step you do is you have to open up the economy. You have to say, we trust the American people. You are free. If you don't feel confident going out and shopping or going to your barber, don't go. By all means, that's your choice. But let's get out and let's be the creative, hardworking problem solvers that we are in America. And if you do that, we explode again. And I think that's the path forward. If you want to do something at all, maybe you give that payroll tax holiday. But I'm just telling you, you've got people like Hogan, you got Pennsylvania's governor who's gone AWOL. If you keep people tied down, you're gonna basically emasculate your state's tax coffers as well as the economy, and it's also not good for the mental health of the country. It's not good for the physical health. You're actually creating a different public health crisis on that side of it.
I'm going to leave it there. Representative Andy Biggs, always good to talk to you. Thank you for representing the good people of Arizona.
Thanks, Larry. Good being with you.